Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Toss. We'll try that one more time. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about more winter driving. My understanding is that those in the northeast of the United States, in the Maritimes, in Canada, Quebec, and Ontario are in a bit of a deep freeze. And we are going to do a little bit more winter driving tonight. I think it's apropos. And Christian is here. Frank Jr. is here, and we had a conversation with Frank. Frank is from Michigan. Sam is here. Jericho Arroyo, that is Sam. And for those of you who don't know Sam, he is with Rookie Auto Driving School in the Bronx. And how is your winter, Sam? And Lisa is here. Hello. Lisa's having difficulty talking the same as I am. UNESCO, Dave is here. And yes, Dave, I tried to get back to your comment today. We've been having some glitches with YouTube, to say the least. So if anything is wrong or you didn't get notice or whatnot, Raquel is here. Hi, Raquel. Yes. So tonight we're talking about more winter driving, and the live stream is on. People seem to be getting on here. There we go. Okay, so it's caught up. Ninos is here. Hello to you. And I can see here from the live stream that I've been fiddling around with the goofy settings on this webcam, and I think maybe, just maybe, I might have got them to my liking, because up until this point I have not liked them. Matt, hi there. Nazanin, hello. Lots of people here tonight. Oh, I love wintertime when people are inside. And you're probably not liking the wintertime here. Oh, Frank says it warmed up to 27 degrees Fahrenheit. No snow. Yeah, we haven't had any snow either. And this is actually interesting that we're talking about more snow, more information about winter driving. It's cold. It's 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, I got to look that up. Where's my temperature converter here? Temperature. 5. Ooh, minus 15. That's cold in New York City. So there we go. Excellent. Thanks, Corey, for that. Excellent. Okay, so it is cold. How's the winter driver training going, Sam? Yes, so you can answer that question. Michael's here. Never fear, Mike is here. Awesome. Okay, and Marcus is here. Oh, Marcus, no, you don't have to have 50 hours. Whatever you feel comfortable with. If you feel comfortable that you've got enough time in, as I say, the more practice you can get, the better driver you're going to be, but you definitely don't need 50 hours. Winter has been harsh this year. Yes, it has, Dave, for sure. Okay, Jonathan. In May. That's awesome, Jonathan. Jorge, hello. How are you? And yes, Jesus, who is from New Jersey, if he tunes in tonight, I do want to apologize to him. I have been mispronouncing his name. I was told by one of my friends the other day. I have been mispronouncing my Spanish, so I do apologize for that as well. And it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit in Rhode Island. And Marcus, there you go. Christian, thank you so much for the sub. That's really awesome. And Christian, that's a great reminder. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe for all the great driving videos, because I do crash analysis stuff. I do winter driving stuff to help veteran drivers remain crash free as well. I help new drivers to get a license regardless of class, whether that's car, truck, bus, or motorcycle. And we're going to start working on the motorcycle stuff here in the spring as soon as the snow goes away. Jonathan, no, I'm not in Kamloops. I'm actually in Vernon, about an hour south here in British Columbia. It's been cold in Wausau, Wisconsin, but it did warm up to the 20s today. Muzamil, there we go. Thank you for all the compliments there. Now, one of the things I wanted to say that's interesting here in Vernon, and this is one of the things that you need to watch out in the wintertime, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail, is yesterday we had a fairly warm day, so it was around the freezing mark. Actually, it was a little bit above the freezing mark. So we got some melting yesterday of the snow and ice and that sort of thing. And most of the pavement and whatnot cleared off. But then what happens is all that water freezes overnight, and then the next day you get ice forming on the pavement, on the roads, and those types of things. So you have to be careful and pay attention to that kind of weather, shifts in weather too, that when you get some melting going on and the water will freeze as rain, or as ice rather, then the next day it's going to be icy, and it was icy today away from the main roads. So know that the farther you get away from the main roads, the less maintained the roadways are going to be. So if you're on the main roads, it's not going to be too bad. But if you get into the suburban areas and those types of things, there's going to be more snow and there's going to be more ice and those types of things on the roadway. Okay? It's been cold in Toronto. Yeah, I was just talking to my mom. She lives in Wingham, which is about 2.5 hours from Toronto, and yes, it is cold there. It's warming up for me next week. Jonathan, can I do a video on pulling over for emergency vehicles? Yes, I can do that. There is one here on the channel, and Corey may dig that out for you, but I could do a better one on doing emergency vehicles. I've been collecting video footage and those sorts of things, so I can do that for you as well. Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, if you got a wider vehicle, it is going to be a little bit more difficult to stay centered in your lane. But again, it's just a matter of looking farther down the road. And if you haven't seen the video on centering your vehicle in the roadway, do have a look at that as well. Okay? Christian, any tips for driving near trolleys? Yes, definitely, Christian. I actually did my graduate work in Melbourne, Australia, where they have many trams, as you may or may not know, and they're very much part of the urban landscape there. And one of the other interesting things about trams in Melbourne, as opposed to trolleys in Toronto, Ontario, is that the trams and trolleys in Toronto don't have bells on them, and the ones in Melbourne have bells on them, which is interesting because it's very much, that sound is very much part of the urban landscape. And I remember going to Toronto after I lived in Melbourne for a while, and I was looking at the trolleys and thinking, there aren't any bells on those trolleys, which was interesting. So know that they're in the middle of the roadway. Know that you need to keep space. If kind of measure out where the stops are along the way there, and know where the stops are going to be. Know where the trams or trolleys are going to stop for the people to alight or get off. And just one other question I'll ask you. Where did the question go here? Christian, yes. Are the trolleys that you're referring to, are they in the center of the road? Just answer that question for me. Okay. All right. Ninos, -4 in London, Ontario. Yes, there we go. Jorge, you are most welcome about that. Samantha and Michael. Okay, Samantha, I don't know whether I'm talking to Samantha or Michael, but anyway, if you get stuck on the side of the road and you're blocking traffic, just put your four-way flashers on. You might need to get out of the vehicle and actually direct traffic around your vehicle, but you want to make sure that other traffic doesn't hit you. And if you have your four-way flashers on, then that's a good indication, because that will attract the attention of other traffic and those types of things. Okay? All right, there we go. Just got the video up for you. Dave, yes, that is definitely true, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation once I get over to the presentation here. That bridges and overpasses freeze first. So if the temperature drops to 0, bridges and overpasses are going to freeze first, and I'm definitely going to talk about that a little bit more with the presentation. Okay, just a little bit of house cleaning here before we get too much farther in here. And again, I'll just reiterate for the purposes of the presentation, we have 40-50 people here, and the questions come by pretty quickly. If I don't answer your question, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because the questions are flying by so quickly. Just retype your question in, or send me a super chat. You know, give me a $1 or $2, and it highlights it, and then I'll definitely answer your question, because I'm not ignoring you. Okay, so just know that in terms of what's going on my side of the computer. There aren't any bells or anything going on over here. It's all very quiet, and it's just me reading the screen and looking into the camera and answering the questions. Oh, I'm very impressed with how clear that picture is. At least the picture I'm seeing. I don't know how it is. Samantha, hi there. Penis, Penas. Sorry, I did not say that right. My apologies. Oh, that's very embarrassing. Okay, Michael. Okay, Michael, thank you for that. You're teasing me now. Okay. And yes, excellent. All right, so house cleaning. So one of the things that I now have on the channel, which some of you may or may not noticed, I did ask other people about it. There is a community tab on YouTube now, which for some of you, and if you did get the stuff that's coming through on the community tab, just write SMART in the comments there and put SMART in there, because I'm posting some other stuff and some questions that smart drivers are asking me. I'm putting it in the general community area because I think it's good information for everybody. For example, Big Money Boss asked me about why transmissions whine when you put them in reverse. So I posted that on the public forum in the community tab. And if you got that information, like I said, just type SMART into the comments there, and then I'll know that that's working. The other thing that I did with the community tab was I asked users if they wanted to have the mastermind group on Facebook, or they wanted me to use the community tab here on YouTube. Okay, Panos said that it doesn't work for him or her. I do apologize. I don't know. I can't see the gender, so if it works, that's great, because I did a poll on it. I got approximately 180 people that responded to the poll, and overwhelmingly people want me to keep the stuff here on YouTube, and I'm more than happy to keep it on YouTube. If I can keep it on one platform, that's going to work a lot better for me, so I'll just leave that there. Okay, Big Billy TV, when parking the day before a snowstorm, which way is the best way to park your car in the parking lot? Settings for morning drive and through the day. Big Billy, if you can back into the parking space, that is always going to help you out if you get a bit of snow or slippery conditions or those types of things, because that way when you're driving out, when you're backing in, you're backing into a static environment, and when you're driving out, you're driving out with all the hazards and obstructions in front of you. Okay? All right, Dave says use Facebook and the community tab. I think, yeah, that's probably the way it's going to go, Dave, for sure. Okay, Christian, I have difficulty understanding about driving since I have a learning disability. Okay, Christian, stick around to the end of the presentation, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you the Pass Your Road Test First Time. And what that is going to help you do, Christian, is it is a self-paced course. So it's perfect for you if you have a learning disability, because you can go at your own pace. And as well, you can have access to me as much as you want. You can email me, you can talk to me, and I will give you all the help that you need to be successful in that course. So that's one of the things that I suggest, and I think today the special is you can pick it up for less than 27 bucks. Okay, so I'll talk to you more about that, Dave, okay? Always running. Can you explain driving a semi in snow, especially downhill? I've read that engine brakes should not be used, but I have experienced drivers say that they use it. Yes, okay, always running, that's a really good question. That's an excellent question in terms of semis downhill. Now, most of the time in mountain areas or on hills, they will have warnings for you and signs for you, okay? And one of the things that, if it is slippery, now, and one of the things you need to understand about chains in the wintertime is a lot of drivers are under the misconception that you need chains when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. You don't need chains when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. You need chains when there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. Because what happens is the temperature's around freezing, there's a little bit of snow on the ice, on the roadway, and it's slippery, and it is really slick. And when it's like that and you need chains to go down the hill, oftentimes what you need is one single chain, you throw it on the trailer, and that will stop the trailer from coming around. Now, yes, some drivers will use the jake brake or the engine brake, as it's commonly referred to go down the hill, but you need to be extremely careful, because if the back end locks up and kicks out, you need to get your foot on the throttle as quickly as possible, because as soon as you put your foot on the throttle, that will disconnect the jake brake. Okay, and the wheels will start to turn again. As soon as the wheels start to turn again, the vehicle will straighten out. So you have to be careful that way. The other thing that I've heard drivers do, logging truck drivers, is they use the spike a little bit. So that's another option that you can do too, is just apply the spike a little bit, and that'll keep the trailer back there, and it'll pull the unit and down the hill in a straight line. So that's another option that you have. Okay, so Sam from Rookie Auto Driving School doesn't have Facebook, so it's good for him that I keep it on YouTube. Okay, there you go. Big Billy, you are most welcome. Okay. Winter emergency. Dave, just about anywhere you can park your vehicle in the wintertime during an emergency. Okay. Rami, what time? So just Rami, just give me a little bit of clarification. So are you talking about practicing for your road test? Because if you're practicing, for example, learning to drive video, the best time is early in the morning or later in the evening. But the thing is, if you go to a mall or something like that, the malls are open till 9 o'clock. You could go to a church. The church parking lot will be open, and you could use that as well. Okay. I don't recommend you riding your motorcycle. Unesso, yes. If you're going through a yield, you just need to slow down, ensure there's no traffic coming, and you don't need to come to a complete stop if you've got the right of way and you can proceed. Samantha, yeah, you live in the hills and it got extremely slippery, for sure. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to talk a little bit more about winter driving, those types of things. Just a couple of more things that I want to say. Okay, so I haven't got any responses yet about whether people have the community tab. Like I said, if you have the community tab, just type SMART into the comments for me. That way I'll know you got it. Okay, Matt, is there a benefit to using gears 1 and 2 on an automatic carton? Matt, no, there's not. There's absolutely no benefit to that. You might as well just leave it in drive and just work the brake, okay? Yeah, Dave, you can park at a school parking lot if the school is not in session, those types of things. All right, so a couple more things. One other question that I had, and I'm actually going to post a poll on the community section, on the community tab there, is I do highlights of the Smart Sunday of the live feed here. Do people find that useful if I post the highlights to the Smart Sunday on the channel here? Because I didn't do it last week and I have done it in the past. So if that works for you, just again, put Smart 1 in the comments there. All right. And I've asked people how their winter is. I hear it's pretty cold in the Northeast, and Sam's telling me that it's pretty cold in New York. So, okay. So we're going to head over to the presentation now, and we'll get going here. So PowerPoint. All right. Bear with me just one sec. Let's get a hold of that corner there. All right, here we go. All right, so winter driving, Rick August, PhD, that's me. We're talking about more winter driving. This is a recent image from Vernon. And yes, we've had a lot of snow here over the holidays between Christmas and New Year's. We probably have about 18 inches of snow on the ground as a cover. And for those of you who don't know me, Rick August, PhD, I do have a PhD in more or less traffic safety. I looked at the transition between horse-drawn traffic and motor traffic at the beginning of the 20th century. And there was a 500% increase in road speeds in a 40-year period between 1890 and 1930. And that's similar to saying today, by the year 2060, we'll all be driving around cities at 250 kilometers an hour. And that's essentially what happened in the first 40 years of the 20th century. Now, if we get autonomous cars, that might be a possibility. I've also been a driving instructor for just about 20 years. I've driven truck in all over the United States and Canada in the 1990s, and in the early 2000s I moved to Australia and I drove for Greyhound for full-time for a year, part-time a little bit, and then I drove for the regional company there called V-Line Express. So I have bus experience as well. And as well in the 1990s, I also worked as a driver rehabilitation specialist at Parkwood Hospital in London, Ontario there, working with people who had debilitating injuries and were returning to driving. So I've done that as well. Okay, so we'll get page down here. There we go. So winter driving playlist. If you have not checked out this playlist already, by all means head over to the playlists on the YouTube channel and have a look at the winter driving playlist. There's all kinds of really good information there and good refresher information. And I would argue, and I say it again and again, one of the most dangerous times to drive in the winter time is when the temperature is around freezing, when it's around 0 degrees Celsius or when it's around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is freezing. And the reason for that is because water freezes and thaws at that temperature. So what happens is you get ice, and then on top of the ice you get a layer of water. And if any of you have ever been to an ice hockey rink, the ice is most slippery after the Zamboni's gone out and cleaned the ice. So that's the same thing that happens in traffic, is that the ice is most slippery when the temperature is around freezing, and there's a layer of water on top of the ice that lubricates the ice. So go over and have a look at that, and we'll just talk about this as well. So one of the videos, interesting enough, cold starts and cleaning, and basically I talk about how to start your vehicle in cold weather in this video. And when I made this video, I can distinctly remember making this video and thinking to myself, nobody is going to watch this video. And I looked the other day and I was actually somewhat surprised to find out that the cold starts and cleaning video has got more than just about 20,000 views. So it's been fairly popular, and there's been a lot of comments on it in the last few days with the cold snap there in the Northeast in the United States. And winter car care, if you haven't taken your vehicle to a mechanic already, or you're not somewhat handy in terms of getting your own vehicle prepped for winter, definitely look at the video at Winter Car Care. And Rich Demand, a good friend of mine, goes over some of the things that you should look at in terms of, you know, snow tires on your vehicle, checking the fluids, making sure you have windshield washer fluid on your vehicle. It might be a little cold to put a coat of wax on it now, but we talk about that as well. And one of the comments I got this week, Michael said to me that I was wrong in terms of not having to clean off the roof of your vehicle. And I did agree with Michael that I was incorrect. If you can clean the roof of your vehicle off, do clean the roof of your vehicle off. And the point that Michael made is that if there's snow and ice on the top of your roof and you come to a stop, it's going to slide down on the windshield, and oftentimes it's going to be too heavy for the windshield wipers to whisk it away. And I have had that happen. Unfortunately, I had it happen in a rig when there was probably a good foot of snow on top of the sleeper of the truck. And I had a student, we were going down the highway, and the snow came off the roof of the truck and slid down on the windshield. And of course the windshield wipers couldn't whisk it away because there was far too much snow. And it was a bit dodgy there for a bit, driving down the highway with the student looking out a little peephole in the windshield, and if we could kind of go around the corner, and then it actually all slid off. But that was, so if you can get up on the roof and get it cleaned off, then that's something that is prudent to do for winter driving. And I did see a pickup truck just a couple of days ago on the highway there. Same thing had happened. All the snow had slid down off the roof onto the windshield. And actually in a pickup truck, it's fairly easy to get up and clean off the roof of the cabin, because you can get into the box of the truck. So that's another thing you can do. All right, so let's talk a little bit about black ice. And for any of you who have watched my videos on black ice, you know that I do not subscribe to the term black ice. It's just ice, whether you can see it or not, because ice most of the time can be seen on the roadway. And the question that was asked, bridges and overpasses, yes, be very careful of bridges and overpasses. These are going to freeze first. And if you go over to the mastermind group on Facebook, there's a video of a truck that wipes out and crashes on a bridge, and that's one of the reasons, because the driver did not take note of the fact that he or she drove onto the bridge, and as soon as they drove onto the bridge it was icy. Also, the driver did not pay attention to the fact that the previous night there had been some sort of precipitation, whether that had been rain or snow or something else that formed ice on the roadway. So pay attention to the weather in the wintertime, and that will give you clues to the conditions of the roadway. Also, ice will form in areas that lie in shadow. So if there's a hill or a mountain that runs along the roadway and it lies in shadow, or there's a large building or a grove of trees or something like that, all of that's going to put the roadway in shadow, and it's going to cause ice to form there. Ice will also form in low-lying areas when you get dips in the roadways and whatnot. At high elevations, you're going to get ice, and when the roadway runs near bodies of water. And again, it says at the bottom there, pay attention to the weather. As I said in the introduction, and I said here in Vernon, British Columbia, yesterday was above freezing. We got ice that was melting, snow that was melting, and we got water that pooled. And this morning we went out, the roadway was absolutely slick, and some of the sidewalks were really icy too, because you got that water melting yesterday and then it froze overnight. So, and as well, see the video here, there's a video on black ice, so have a look at that as well. When you're driving on highways or in cities or those types of things, get the big picture and increase your following distance. Know that 2 seconds, 3 seconds in a passenger vehicle is under ideal conditions. If it's icy or snowy, you want to probably increase that out to 5 seconds, because as one of the smart drivers asked me last week on the live feed, if you go into a skid, you're probably going to hit another vehicle if you're too close. If you have space, it may just be you going for a little spin on the roadway and nothing is going to happen. So think about that as well. Okay? So look farther down the road, get the big picture. Try to drive in the spaces between the clusters. Vehicles on highways and freeways drive in clusters. Try to drive in the spaces between the clusters. That's going to be a good defensive driving move for you as a driver. All right, test to stop. Okay, so I've said this a couple of times now. Take note of the weather. Has there been precipitation? Has the temperature gone above freezing and then gone down below freezing overnight? Is the temperature around freezing? Listen to the weather reports. We all have a phone. We all have temperature gauges in our cars that will warn you that there is ice on the potential ice on the highways and roadways. All right. And pooling water. Here's another interesting thing. Is yesterday we got the temperature above freezing. It froze overnight. We had ice in on the main roads. I was on the main roads today, and I got a bit of a shock because I hit a puddle as I was driving down the highway and did a bit of hydroplaning. So pay attention to pooling water and hydroplaning as well, something that you normally wouldn't think of that would happen in the wintertime. And for those of you who don't know what hydroplaning is when you have deep water on the roadway and you hit it at speed and the tire lifts up on the top of the water and you lose control and the wheels start to spin. And it's a bit freaky when you do it initially. However, if you've got your foot on the throttle, you just take your foot off the throttle and it will regain traction again because the vehicle will automatically slow down. So that's the way that you deal with hydroplaning. Okay, skid control. And I do talk about this. And I have a couple of videos here on oversteering and skid control and those types of things that I've put up on the crash analysis playlist. So have a look at that. Get your foot off the accelerator, get your foot off the brake, and steer in the direction you want to go. Now, some driving instruction and some older driving instruction, they say, steer in the direction of the skid. Well, we really don't want to figure out which way the skid is, because if the back end's coming around, you just don't want to make those computations in your brain while you're trying to figure out how to get the car back to straight. So just look in the direction you want to go, get your foot off the steering, off the brake, get your foot off the throttle. Don't let go of the steering wheel. Keep your hands on the steering wheel and steer in the direction that you want to go. Now, here's something else. This is a bonus. Chop steering. If you turn the steering wheel and it doesn't turn, it understeers and the vehicle continues to go straight, bring the steering wheel back to straight and then pull it down again, and keep doing that until you gain traction on the front end, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to get steering. And if you watch rally car racing, this is one of the techniques that they do to go around corners. It's called chop steering. And essentially when you bring the wheels back to straight, they catch traction again, and then you steer again. It goes around, loses traction, bring it back to straight, and then bring it back again. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a subsequent video. Survival kits. If you're traveling in rural areas or areas where you may or may not get cell phone service, have a survival kit in your vehicle, and definitely have a look at this video on winter survival kits and what goes in these winter survival kits. If you just go down to the local Walmart or Kmart or whatever shop that you're going to go and buy these things at, you can buy these emergency kits that go in your vehicle. Now, know that there are some things that are not in that kit. Okay, there isn't non-perishable food in that kit. There isn't a phone charger in that kit, and you should have a phone charger in your vehicle, because there's nothing worse than being stranded in a ditch on the side of the road and you don't have a cell phone that's charged and you can't phone people. So that's first and foremost. Have a charger. Go out and spend a few dollars and get a charger that you can keep in your vehicle in case you do end up in the ditch or you end up in a snowbank and you're there for a little while. Okay? As well, know in these emergency kits that you can pre-purchase on Amazon and other places that they won't have a decent blanket in them, and they'll probably have matches in them. The matches don't work. Take it from my experience of camping, doing wilderness camping and those types of things. You want a lighter and you want a candle, because you're going to need to drink, because we cannot survive for very long without water. So you need some way to melt the snow, and you can't keep bottles of water in your car because obviously it's wintertime and they're going to freeze. They're just going to be ice. So you need some way to melt snow. So you want a candle and you want a bucket. And definitely have a look at this survival kit video about items that you should put in your survival kit. As well, the blanket in the survival kits is not very good. It's just one of those foil blankets. It's not going to keep you very warm. Okay, now, a couple of things about if you do get stranded in a car on the side of the road in the wintertime. Do not leave the vehicle. Don't think, oh, it's only 5 kilometers up the road, I'm going to walk there, okay? And if it's minus 10 and it's blowing, know that it's probably minus 25 or it's probably 10 degrees Fahrenheit, because the wind chill factor, and if you are not dressed properly, if you don't have a toque and you don't have mitts and snow pants and those types of things, you may freeze to death. So do not leave the shelter of the vehicle. You're going to survive longer in the vehicle. As well, do not run your fuel tank below a quarter of a tank in the wintertime if you're in the ditch and you have to wait something out. You do want to run your vehicle, but don't run it for more than 15 minutes every hour, because carbon monoxide poisoning, it's still an issue even with newer vehicles. So just pay attention to that as well. Okay, 11 tips. All right. I've had comments before that you need to use the drivetrain to slow the vehicle. No, don't use the drivetrain. Just use your brakes. You'll have better control of the vehicle. And with automatic transmissions, you can put the transmission into neutral, and that will help you with braking, because with automatic transmissions, when you take your foot off the throttle, there's still some residual power that's going through the drivetrain, and the brakes are fighting that a little bit. So if you just put it into neutral, you completely disconnect the drivetrain from the engine, and it's just going to be the brakes. And this is why manual transmissions are so much, you have better control with a manual transmission, because it's direct drive. Once you push the clutch in, you completely disconnect the engine from the drivetrain. Automatics aren't the same. So if you can just pop it into neutral and it will stop in neutral, it won't go into reverse, then that way it will help you with the braking. Okay, and if it starts to slide when you apply the brakes, just release the brake and then reapply the brakes. That will help you to maintain control in the wintertime. And the other thing is that on snow and ice, the ABS brakes are going to apply really quickly. Okay, so know that, and know that pushback, grinding, shudder, noise, all of that is normal for ABS brakes in the wintertime. Okay, stopping on ice, as I've said, and I'll repeat this again, get your foot off the brake, get your foot off the throttle, and just steer. And don't give up, okay? And have a look at this video for the top 5 reasons for crashes in the wintertime. And if it's just really slick out, as you see in some of these crazy videos here where the car's got full brakes on, it's going down a hill and it's just not coming to a stop, maybe you should just stay home. Okay, so you got to make that decision in the wintertime as well. All right, so good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. All right, so coming back, and Corey will remind me to put the comments on here if I don't do this. Okay, just getting the video here. There we go. All right, transition. And we're back. There we go. So Matt, is it better to build your own survival kit from scratch? In my opinion, buying these pre-made survival kits are a waste of money. Matt, they're not a total waste of money. However, they're not as good. Like I said, the blankets are just foil. They've got matches in them. You don't want to have matches. You want to have a lighter, because a lighter is going to work for you to light your candle. Most of the time, the lighter's not very good. You might want to put in, and this is another point that I made about the survival kit, is that if you are on any sort of medication that you need for a period of time that you can't go without, say 24 hours, you definitely want to have some prescription medication in there as well. And you want to put some food in there and those types of things, okay? So it might be better just to have your own survival kit in the vehicle, okay? You can buy the pre-made ones and then just add the stuff to it, and for people in a hurry and those types of things, that's an option for you. Okay? All right. UNESCO. UNESCO. Carbon monoxide. Yes, well, carbon monoxide is a byproduct of the internal combustion engine. It's a byproduct of petroleum in the engine. It's just not something that they can get rid of. I mean, they can reduce the amount of pollution that comes out of the tailpipe of the vehicle, but unfortunately it's still something that does happen. Okay, so Andrew, the L is for low, and first gear is on an automatic transmission. You can use them, and probably the only time that you're going to be using them is if you're pulling a trailer or something like that. Then yes, you're going to use it. But for the most part, for an automatic transmission, you're just going to leave it in drive and let the vehicle select the gear for you. Really, you don't really need them. Okay. Let's see, who else has a question for me? Yes, ice storms. Panas. Yes, ice storms, everything freezes. And the thing about ice storms, and this is a good point, is that ice is when the surface is really cold. So the grass is cold, the trees are cold, the cars are cold, the surface of everything, and you get rain that falls and it freezes on contact. That's what an ice storm is. So know that in terms of, you know, wet snow or something like that, it's not the same thing. Freezing rain is something completely different. It falls from the sky as precipitation, as rain, but it freezes on contact and coats everything, and it's quite dangerous for driving, because when you're driving, you're thinking that you're driving through rain, but actually what happens is that it coats the vehicle in ice, and the roadway can become slick ice. And I had an experience like that when I was driving a truck, and some of you may or may not know, diesel engines, the fan doesn't run all the time in a diesel engine. It's on a temperature sensor, so when the engine heats up, it kicks the fan on. And I was driving a Peterbilt across North Dakota, and the fan kept coming on. I was like, well, that's kind of weird, because it had been raining for a couple hours, and I pulled over into the pickle park, as they're called in the United States, the rest area, and got out of the truck and, you know, promptly fell on my butt and went around the front of the truck, and the front grill of the truck was completely iced over because it had been freezing rain, and I had not realized that it had been freezing rain. Fortunately, I didn't end up in the ditch with the truck, which was quite nice. So that's freezing rain in the wintertime, and again, be very careful about that if you're driving in the wintertime and it does start to rain and those types of things. Okay. Oh, we have a conversation about autonomous vehicles. Interesting. So there we go. I was contacted by a company last week out of New England that is going to retrofit vehicles to be autonomous all the way back to 2012, and they're thinking that this is going to come in the next 5 or 6 years. And just on this note of autonomous vehicles, I've been kind of racking my brain all week as to why I didn't think autonomous vehicles were going to work. And I finally realized what it was. It's the fact that on any stretch of road, in any given space of road, at any given time, all of the vehicles are completely different. All of the drivers are completely different. Every single time. They are never, ever going to be replicated. And when you have a traffic crash, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to replicate the exact dynamics and circumstances that led to that crash. And this is one of the reasons why I believe that AI is just not at a level that it can deal with that yet, because driving is so difficult. Okay, so Matt, I got a smart from Matt, so that's excellent. So Matt is on the community tab, he's getting the stuff. Okay, Dave, I don't think that autonomous vehicles are going to be anytime soon. It's even despite what all the hoobla is and the rhetoric and whatnot. Okay, Wellington. Oh, in Quebec. That's awesome. Okay, so Wellington, that's a great question about ABS brakes, and I did talk a little bit about it in the presentation about ABS brakes. Pumping the brakes is not safer, okay? The safest method with standard brakes that are not ABS, and you're going to be pretty hard-pressed to find a vehicle in this day and age that is not fitted with ABS brakes, is that it's called threshold braking. So essentially you apply the brakes really hard to the point of almost lockup, and then you release them and then you reapply them. And that threshold braking is exactly the same thing as what ABS brakes do. And with ABS brakes, you push the pedal down hard and you hold it, and you hold the steering wheel, and you may have to post off the steering wheel, and you look in the direction where you want to go. And as I said, grinding, shutter, pushback, that's all normal for ABS brakes. So know that in terms of if your vehicle is equipped with ABS brakes. And the way that you know, turn the key to the on position, look at the lights that come on. There'll be an orange ABS light, and if the vehicle is equipped with ABS and they're working normally, that light will come on briefly, and then it will go out. Okay, so that's how you know if your vehicle has ABS brakes. Sarab, what kind of vehicle do I recommend for beginners? Toyota Corolla, small SUV, Honda CR-V. I like Hondas and Toyotas. Any mid-size, any small SUV, any small sedan will help you out. Most of the driving schools will use Priuses, and I think Sam was saying that he uses a Corolla. Just remind me again, Sam, what cars do you drive in? You drive in a, I believe one was a Corolla. And what was the other one? Okay, so Dave asked me ABS brakes and why does it exist? Okay, so the purpose of ABS brakes, which I may not have said, is to maintain steering, because when you brake hard, you don't have steering, because what happens is the steer tires lock up, and when they lock up and stop turning, you lose the ability to steer. So know that. Okay, so that's why we have anti-lock brakes on vehicles. Okay, Panas, if you get your car stuck on a freeway of main road and snow, what should you do? Try and get it out as quickly as possible. You may have to direct traffic. You may have to put your four-way flashers on and those types of things, but make sure that you direct other traffic to know that the fact that you're stuck. Okay, if you're stuck, there's probably going to be other vehicles stuck too, so most of the drivers are going to be aware that you're stuck. So Frank, excellent. Most of your drivers drove a Ford Escape, and I would argue the Ford Escapes are a little bit on the small size for an SUV, and they're a good size vehicle to do your slow speed maneuvers, your parallel parking, your 2-point reverse turns, and those types of things. So that's what you want to do. Okay, excellent. And Corey's put up the video on ABS brakes, and Sam, who's with Rookie Auto Driving School, uses Corollas and Priuses. Both of those are Toyotas, and they're good size. Dave, ABS brakes are found in most vehicles, and as I said, if you're not sure whether your vehicle has ABS brakes or not, turn the key to the on position. The ABS light, the orange ABS light, should come on briefly and then go out. And again, have a look at the video there, and that will give you more information about ABS brakes. Joseph is saying that you have a carbon monoxide detector in your car. It might be a good thing to have. Okay, so and on that note of carbon monoxide, I was just thinking there for a second. If you're in an enclosed area with your vehicle, don't leave it running for very long, okay? Just a couple of minutes and then get going, okay? So, for example, if you drive on the ferry, and there's a video here about driving on ferries for those of you who have never been on a ferry or driven on a ferry before, that's a ship, a big boat, don't start your vehicle until you're actually going to move onto the ship or off the ship. Okay, so just know that for the purposes of carbon monoxide and environmentalism and all that good stuff. Okay. Corey, the reason I don't advocate lower gears and an automatic transmission for ice and snow is because you get too much power to the wheels and it will cause the wheels to spin. Actually, just leave it in drive and just moderate throttle in an automatic transmission. And actually, in a manual transmission, to get better traction, it's actually better to try and get up to second gear as quickly as possible. But I know that a lot of people in North America, it's different in Europe, but in North America, most of us drive automatics. In Europe, most people drive manuals, which is the reverse, which is kind of interesting. Yes, Matt, you're correct. All the new vehicles have to have ABS brakes, and actually most of the trucks now, tractor trailer units, all have to have ABS brakes as well. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up there tonight. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to now try and sell you one of my courses. Okay, and if you are going for a road test and you're going for a license, then I'm going to talk to you about that, because I don't know how many people want to pass the road test on the first time, but if you do want to pass your road test on the first time, then certainly stick around and hear what I have to say about the course and what's offered in the course. And I'm going to make you a special offer tonight for those of you who showed up here. So we're going to turn over to the course here, and I'll talk to you about that for those of you who are going for a road test and want to pass your road test first time. And we'll just talk about that for a little bit here. Alright, so Pass Your Road Test First Time is a course that I have over at the Smart Drive Test website, and here's what is included in the course. So there's a glossary in the course, driving terms, vehicle components, and terminology. And one of the parts of getting a license that a lot of new drivers struggle with is the terminology. Painted islands, right of way, 2-point reverse turn. Those are some of the terms that you need to struggle with and you need to understand for the purposes of driving. And here are the lessons. It's a 6-week course, and essentially you can take this course in concert with your practice. So in the first lesson I teach you the primary and secondary controls of the vehicle, and each one of these there is a short review quiz, and there's feedback on all of the multiple choice questions, and the multiple choice questions are also part of learning to do the learner's test. Okay, so in lesson 2 we teach you the maneuvers that are required for a road test. We teach you how to do parallel parking. We teach you how to do 2-point reverse turn. We teach you how to do reverse stall park. So all of the slow speed maneuvers that you could potentially be asked by any examiner to do on a road test. Lesson 3, we teach you rules of the road, how to turn at intersections, controlled and uncontrolled intersections, and we teach you the right of way. And the basic rules of right of way at intersections are that straight through traffic has the right of way over turning traffic, and right turning vehicles have the right of way over left turning vehicles. So those are fundamental rules that you need to understand for the purposes of both passing a knowledge test and a practical test for the road test. So road test turning and merging, so turning left, turning right, that's lesson 4, and that's going to be week 4. Lesson 5 is a mock road test and tips. And for those of you who are taking a road test and may not take the course, do book with a driving instructor 3 to 4 weeks out, so you can have a mock road test of approximately 90 minutes 7 to 10 days before your road test. That way a driving instructor can identify the weaknesses in your driving that you may need to improve before you go for your road test, so you'll be successful. And then in lesson 6 we go over some review and some very fundamental components that you need for the purposes of passing a road test. For example, you need to stay back approximately 1 vehicle length behind traffic. You need to not block intersections. All of these are instant fails. You need to not go into an intersection on a red light. If you do any of that on a road test, you're not going to be successful. So this is the 6-week course, and you can do these lessons in concert with your practice in the vehicle. Okay? You also get a toolkit. In the toolkit, you have a schedule for training, how long this is going to take you and exactly what you should be doing and what you should be practicing. As well, for those of you who are going to have mentors, and you all have to have mentors. If you have a learner's license, you have to have somebody in the vehicle who's helping you and work and drive and learn how to drive and those types of things. So there is a guide for mentors. It will help them with skills, techniques, and abilities that will help you to learn how to drive. So that's included as well in the toolkit. As well, there's a license checklist, what you need to take on road test day for your license. Have you done all these things? Do you have all of these skills? Do you have your paperwork? What do you do on road test day? That's in the license checklist. As well, there's a pre-trip inspection checklist, things that you should check before you show up for the road test, because unfortunately if you show up to the road test and, for example, you didn't check the seatbelt on the passenger seat and it does not work, you will be denied your road test, because the examiner is not safe and will not take you out on a road test because the seatbelt doesn't work. So you want to do a pre-trip inspection because you don't want to be denied taking your road test on road test day. As well, bonus, you will get the winter driving checklist, things you should do to keep you safe in the wintertime, and you will get the trailering checklist as well. So these are bonuses. For those of you who have not yet done your learners, there's practice quizzes, and these practice quizzes are all multiple choice. And as I say, on taking a theory test, learning to do multiple choice questions is part and parcel of being successful on your theory test. So this is here as well, and it teaches you how to find keywords and those types of things to be successful on your theory test. At the end, there is a quiz of 25 questions, and it covers these following topics. the basics of learning how to drive, vehicle controls, right-of-way, road signs, skills and abilities to pass your road test first time, speed, space management, observation and communication, and you will get a certificate in the course. So that's the basic course. That's what's included in the course that you will get. All right, so the course is essentially $38. The glossary is $90. The toolkit is $110, and the practice driving test questions add up to $30. So the total would be $268, but I'm not going to give it to you for $268. I'm not even going to give it to you for $38. Today, if you look down in the description box and click the link, there's a 30% discount. You type in YouTube 30 over at the Smart Drive Test website and purchase the course, and you can pick it up for $26.60 Canadian. So if you're in the States, that's even a better discount for you, and you get all that great stuff. Now, because I like bonuses, included in the course is bonus material. And again, you will have lifetime access to this course. So if you decide later that you're going to drive a manual vehicle and you want to learn how to drive a vehicle equipped with manual transmission, there's that. If you're going to pull a trailer, whether it's a utility trailer, you're going to pull a camper, you're going to pull a boat trailer, the trailering is in there as well, and as well the winter driving information. So all of that adds up to another $78. So you're getting really good value, and you're getting an enormous discount, and it's a really good deal. Now, one of the ways that you can think about this is it's $26.60. If you fail your road test, it's $50 to pay to go and take your road test again. I know there are some people who don't have to pay for it for whatever reason, but it does cost money to go and take your road test. But more important, it's the blow to your self-confidence that you were not successful in the first time, because oh my God, we got to eat a lot of potato chips to recover from not passing our road test. So the road test is the passing your road test first time is absolutely 100% guaranteed. If you don't pass within 6 weeks after taking the complete course, I will give you your money back 100%. So look down in the coupon box there and get your course. Head over to the Smart Drive Test website, plug the YouTube 30 comment in there, get your 30% off, and pick the course up for about 26 bucks. And as I said, guaranteed pass your road test first time. Okay. There we go. All right, so yes, and Matt and I have a lot of people on the channel, as a couple of people have said here. A lot of people have not been successful on the road test, and I'll tell you, it is not fun when you not pass your road test. Okay, so all of that stuff is included in the course. It's a great course, and as well, you get access to me. If you have any questions at all, you can go over to the Facebook Mastermind group. I will be over there, and I'm on YouTube just about every day. You can leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to help you out with the course and for you to be successful on your road test, because really that is exactly what we're about here at Smart Drive Test, is helping you to be successful and helping you to pass a road test regardless of class. Mehmet, how are you? From Turkey, excellent. Okay, Mehmet, it really depends on road conditions. If you're in hilly terrain, you might want to consider putting chains on your vehicle. Most of the time, four-wheel drive is going to be adequate for what you need to do on snowy roads. Now, just one of the things to keep in mind on snowy roads is that four-wheel drive vehicles do not stop any different than a two-wheel drive vehicle. So manage your space, manage your speed, and that way you'll be able to get the vehicle stopped. Okay, know that as well. So you might consider chains if you're running up and down in mountains and you're running in fairly deep snow. Then yes, you might need to put on some chains and those types of things. Okay. Panas, yes, some quizzes and courses are free, but this one is by me, and I'll guarantee, and as I said, it comes with a guarantee, and it's half the price of failing your road test. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there is the information. Corey's put that up there. Okay. Delphi, yes. faster shifting video coming soon. We'll definitely get that done for you, mate. Okay. Jamie Rockstar. Yeah, that's unfortunate that you're studying for it again. Yes, know that learners do expire, and that if you let it expire and you don't get back on top of it, you're going to have to rewrite it, as unfortunately Jamie Rockstar found out the hard way. All right, so if anybody has any more questions. Thank you, Sam, for that plug. Yes. All right. And the other thing that I'm going to ask you, and I'll probably put a poll up, is are there any courses that you want to see, that you would like to purchase? Is it winter driving? Is it defensive driving courses? I can put all of those courses together for you and we can move forward. As well, if you have any suggestions for videos, Delvey, we're going to do the shifting video. So there you go. Dave, you can pay for the course through PayPal. Okay, it's linked up to PayPal, so you just go over there, and on PayPal you can either create an account and pay from your PayPal account, or you can just pay with a credit card. So it's one or the other. Okay, so that's how you can pay for the course. It's really straightforward. Okay, excellent. So if anybody else has any questions, and again, if you have any suggestions, more than happy to help you out. And you know, I love comments. I love people who disagree with me, because that's how we all learn as a community and how we move forward. And I'm more than happy to help you out. I'm more than happy to move forward. And you know, I'm not going to say, oh, you're wrong, because one of the things you learn when you get to my level of education is that you know that you can't know everything because there's too much to know. It's just simply that. It's, you know, that's just the way life is. There's simply too much to know. I don't know a lot about astrophysics, so I wouldn't talk about that. Okay. Okay, Andrew, can you do a video on driving a large SUV, van, or pickup truck vehicle? Okay, Andrew, what kind of vehicle are you going to be driving that you're thinking that you want some more information about? Christian, what do I think about self-driving cars? Christian, I actually, funny enough, Christian, I was talking to somebody about this today. There was I think it was a Michael Crichton novel about time travel. And just bear with me for a moment. And basically all they could do was they could send people out for 5 trips, and then they couldn't go anymore, because what happened was it rearranged the people's molecular structure and sent it through time. So it took it apart and then put it back together, but it never quite went back together quite right. And self-driving cars and computers are kind of the same. They're going to get it right most of the time, but they're not going to get it right all the time. And it's like that. Self-driving cars are not going to be really any better than human beings. And the other interesting thing about self-driving cars is that really, is there a market for self-driving cars, and are self-driving cars going to be safer? Because we know as traffic safety experts that vehicles only crash once every 14 years. So most people feel safe. Most people don't feel unsafe in a vehicle. I mean, there are some, obviously, that have some fear and anxiety that have been involved in a crash and those types of things. But for the most part, most people feel safe. Most people want to drive. I know I want to drive. I like driving. I don't, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I want autonomous vehicles too. There's nothing I'd love more than to be able to read a book while I'm driving. But I don't know. I just don't think the technology is just there yet. Okay. Jamie Rockstar. Been watching. Okay, excellent. That's really great, Jamie. Awesome. I'm glad you feel better about that. Okay, so we're going to get near the end here. What to do in railway crossings and what to do when you get stuck on the track. Dave, actually, there is a video here on railway crossings, and probably Corey will find that for you, and it does talk about what you do if you do get your vehicle stuck on you. One thing I will say, Dave, from watching some of the failures of people who got stuck on railway crossings, if the gates come down, drive through the gate. Don't stay on the tracks. Just drive through the gate. The gates are actually flexible. They're designed for that, so just drive through the gate. Okay, Andrew, I'm looking to buy an SUV like a Highlander or an MDX, but have never driven an SUV, and they feel intimidating while on the highway with small lanes. Okay, Andrew. Yep, I'll have a look at that for you. Okay, there you go. Corey got that for you. Michael, he's not on board with the self-driving cars. All right, so we're going to leave it there. So again, if you're going for a license, guaranteed pass your road test first time. It's a course over at the Smart Drive Test website. Look down in the coupon. Link to that, get your 30% off, head over there, purchase that, and as I said, guaranteed 60-day money back guarantee if you do all of that. Christian, I don't have any trolleys here in Vernon. I don't have any access to any here in British Columbia. I'd have to go somewhere to San Francisco or Toronto. I will be in Toronto in the spring, so maybe I could do them then. Okay? There you go. Matt, I want to buy a full-size pickup truck. There you go. Excellent. Okay, so have a look down, get your course, 30% off, and head over there and do that, and I'll definitely help you to be successful on your road test. Thank you so much for everybody showing up. Thank you very much for your questions. Remember, in the winter time, slow down, manage your space, test the brakes early for the conditions of the roadway. Congratulations to everybody that's passed the road test in the last week. Good luck to everybody that has a road test coming up. I wish you all the best for that, and thank you again for showing up. Talk to me on the community tab. Talk to me over on Facebook on our mastermind group. I look forward to hearing from you. Good luck in your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a good night. Bye now.